I review speakers of all shapes and sizes on this channel, from compact Bluetooth options all the way up to big PA systems. But some of the best performing videos on this channel have to do with speakers that sit on your desk. Things for content creators, gamers, or music producers that are small in form factor but bigger in their sound output. Two of my favorites have been from Mackie, the Stealth Bar and the CR2 Cubes, which you can see on my desk back there. They kind of live back there permanently, and they're great, but you can't beat physics. And no matter how good the speakers sound, if they're small, they're just not going to have the low end to faithfully reproduce a lot of the hip hop, the EDM, the big explosions in your games and your movies. And that's why you need a subwoofer. And today on the table, I've got an option from Mackie, of course, to perfectly complement those speakers or any other desktop speakers with a subwoofer output. This is the CR6S-X from Mackie, and it is a ported 6.5-inch down-firing woofer with touch controls and built-in LEDs. And in this video today, I'm going to unbox it for you, show you everything that comes inside, talk about the important specs and the features that I think you should know about, share my experience using it, and give you a little demo of it in action. First things first though, my name is Jordan. This is the Phase Reviews YouTube channel. If you're new here, thank you for joining me, and if you're a subscriber, welcome back as always. Before I crack this open, make sure that you like the video, leave a comment, subscribe, and ring the notification bell, because all of those things help me to keep bringing you videos each and every week. But let's not waste any more time. Let's crack open this Mackie CR6S-X. First things first, I want to talk about the name. CR6S-X is way too long of a name. We need something catchier for this. We could have called it like the Cube Subwoofer, the Stealth Subwoofer. Maybe that name's already used, but that's a mouthful. So I'm just going to call this the Sub going forward, all right? Like I said in the intro, it's got a 6.5-inch woofer, which if you know subwoofers is not massive, but compared to like the 2-inch drivers or whatever those are on the Cubes, it's definitely a bigger footprint. The Sub, however, in total is not that large. All in all, this is 7.5 pounds, so very lightweight, easy to move around, and 10 by 11 by 11 inches. We'll talk about a few more specs after we open this up, but let me crack the packaging. It's got this flap right here in the front, and when you pull that back, you're going to see your very, very large, perfectly square user manual, and really there's only like a page that you need to read in here. There's just a ton of safety stuff. It just shows you different ways you can hook up the Sub, which I'll talk about in the video right now. Underneath this kind of egg carton, we have the subwoofer itself, which we'll pull out, and we'll talk about in just a moment. But before I do that, I did want to show you what else is in the box. At the bottom, underneath the other piece of cardboard, is a small bag, which mine is open because I've been using this Sub. And they do include an aux cable, 3.5mm, headphone jack, and then you get a power cable. And we'll start with this power cable. This is an IEC, which is a very standard, like in DJ gear and computers. It's so nice to see this instead of a DC, like wall wart plug. These are so cheap and easy to find. You can get whatever length you need. And so I love when manufacturers use that. I think Mackie's like Pro Audio roots are coming through there. So really excited to see an IEC cable. Now, pulling off the plastic, this is the Sub itself. Like I said, 7.5 pounds, plenty lightweight. On the bottom, you have that driver, which is 6.5 inches. And let me just get you a few specs here. 60 watts peak power to this guy, and supposedly down to 40 hertz on the low end frequency extension, up to 200 hertz, which is where they have their high pass filter. This can also supposedly reach 105 dB peak sound levels. Okay, now talking about the Sub itself, I like the design. It's very modern and sleek. It's not really like the plain wood utilitarian cabinets. This looks, would look great in like a nice modern office. If you've got a lot of good decorations in there, this would not look out of place. Of course, it's black, but the speakers are as well. On the top, we've got this brushed faceplate, which looks fantastic, as well as our controls. This is a touch-sensitive volume strip right there. Above that are a bunch of little white LED lights that show you where on the strip your volume is. You can go from 0 all the way up to max, and when you slide to the left, it also mutes. To the right of the touch strip is a push button right here. You can maybe hear that click. And that's for changing the LED colors. When this powers up, like you'll see in a moment, these are green by default, which is Mackie's logo color, but you can cycle through a whole ton of different colors. I think we've got maybe 8 to choose from, but green will always be selected when you power it up. Now, the last thing to note, I guess, would be our port right here. Ports, this faces forward, so I would have liked to see it maybe on the side or the back. This is not the most aesthetic, if you've got that facing to the front. but they obviously chose that, I'm sure, for the sound, okay? Around the back, we just have our IEC and our power toggle right here. It's worth noting that this does not, to my knowledge, have an auto power off. I had mine plugged in and left the switch on, but no signal for a while, and the LEDs at least never turned off. Maybe the amp does, but the LEDs stayed on constantly unless I choose to cycle them off with the button. Now, they say that this will go down to 40 hertz. I'm an idiot, the plug's in the back. And I'll be honest, I don't know if I can really get 40 hertz at like a reasonable playback volume. You know, it might hit 40 hertz at like negative 10 dB, but not enough to be really, you know, chest thumping 40 hertz bass. I think this is going to comfortably get to the mid 50s and the 60s, which is still better than the desktop speakers alone. And that's where this subwoofer shines. The sound, you know, turning this on and off as I was testing it, I listened to the speakers. I was like, oh, these actually sound really good. I don't know if I need a subwoofer. Then you turn it on and you realize how much you're missing from your music. So if you think like my speakers are great, I don't need a subwoofer, I'm sure if you add one, you will notice a big difference. I'll overlay some footage of this subwoofer under my desk so that you can see how it looks. Like I said, 10 by 11 by 11 inches. It doesn't take up a ton of space. And when it comes to the sound quality, like I just said, it adds a lot of fullness and kind of mid-low frequencies to my CR6S-X Cube setup that I have right here. Granted, those are very small drivers, but this still, I feel like, would add good low end to any desktop speakers, provided they don't have like 8-inch cones themselves. You're missing a lot of the lowest of the lows. You're not getting a ton of 30s. You're not getting a ton of 40 hertz sound. 50s on up sound pretty great. There is this port which at high volumes gives you some port noise. That's kind of like you can hear the air moving in and out. At moderate listening volumes, you're not going to have any issue with that. This is meant for near field listening. You're not going to do movies in your living room on this. You're not going to do a party with this, but for your desk setup, it's great. It's very, very evident, like I said, and you'll see it in the video with the sub on and off, the difference that it makes in the sound. So let me cut to a little sound demo so that you can see the CR6S-X in action. All right, so I've got the subwoofer set up in the corner right there. We've got the CR2X cubes up top. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play some audio with the subwoofer off and the same tracks with it on, and we'll compare the two back to back so you can hear the difference. One last thing before I wrapped up. If your speakers have a subwoofer output, they most likely will adjust the level of that output in accordance with the level of the speakers, meaning you can set the level on here and then you adjust on the speakers themselves and the subwoofer will go up and down as the speakers do. However, if you want more or less sub for a certain style of music, you want to crank it, you want to turn it off, you can adjust the volume of the sub independently to find the perfect ratio between your speakers and your sub. So that's going to be your look at the Mackie CR6S-X subwoofer. Pros on this unit are going to be the finish. It looks fantastic, the lightweight build quality, and of course the Mackie reputation and sound quality that we've come to know. Cons are going to be the fact that the port is in the front, where if you have the cable in the back, you're gonna see this. It's not the prettiest. I would have preferred it on the side or the back, but they probably did that for a certain reason. The LEDs are a cool touch. You can even turn them off if you want. Really, I don't have many other cons aside from the fact that, you know, this isn't a huge subwoofer, so if you do need like heart-pounding bass, really low bass, you're gonna have to step up in size a little bit. But for the average user that just has speakers, this is gonna be a big improvement. So if you wanna grab one of these, I'll include a link down below. You can go check it out there and support the channel. And if you're not already, consider subscribing, ringing the notification bell, liking the video, and leaving a comment. You already know, it helps the algorithm, it helps me grow, and I would sure appreciate it. That's gonna be it for today though. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.